Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, and I'm so excited about today's show. I met my guest many years ago because he was then the inventor's inventor. Knew everybody, could get your product made, and really was not only a good friend, but a great business partner way back when. He then came back into my life as the multi-million-dollar connector. This guy knows people. He's put deals in front of me. He's put me in front of people. You can't wait to meet him. Please, the one and only Mr. Mark Julian.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. How are you doing?
Doing good.
You know what? First off, I have to say thank you, just for being a great guy. You really are.
Thank
you know,
you.
when I first met you, you reminded me of my dad because my dad was an inventor, and you have how many inventions?
60 in the market selling.
60 in the market selling. My father turned to me when I was a kid, and he had all these inventions in his garage, like half a garbage can and a lawnmower engine that turned into a go-kart. And he said, "Kiddo, how do I get my inventions out to the world?" I said, "Dad, I have no idea. I'm 8." And I'll tell you what, he died not getting any of his inventions out. You have 60. What's the secret to that?
Persistence and finding the market that's actually out there, as opposed to thinking what you're going to sell, as far as what the market wants. So out of that 60, I probably did another 150 or 200 that didn't make it for one reason or another. So it's not an easy task. If you can take something that's out there and hit it the first time, wow, it's like hitting lotto. I'm not saying a few people can't do that, but the normal way of it is, and I think a lot of people don't understand, inventing is a business. So I took it from a business standpoint and say, look, this is my business. Well, I have a customer, Sharper Image or Hammaker or whoever it might be, and I found products that they wanted to be able to give them more products, and then I would expand that line out. That's how I approached it.
That's called begin with the end in mind. That's a lot smarter than what my dad was doing. My dad was just inventing whatever he felt like, and nobody really wanted them, but he never thought about that. That's fascinating.
And I've done that too.
Have you always had this inventor brain?
I think you think that it's more creative type brain than more of an inventor, but I think in reality we're all inventors in one way or another. We're inventing our business, you're inventing how your date's going to be, you're inventing your sex life in the bedroom, whatever it is. I think the inventing is really just being able to look at things and put them together and create, because there's really not a lot of new in the world. What's out in the world is the same, it's just regurgitated in another way.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of the big difference, is seeing this application hits here, and then someone puts it together, and now they have a new invention. And then someone else can take that one, add something to it, and it'll be something else that's new.
And so along the way, you've managed to connect pieces, people, companies, products, right?
Correct.
And you're moving into a new part of your life. You think, yeah?
I think I'm focused more on being able to help others build their business, because inventing and products are a small part of it.
Right.
To where I think that what they don't have is they don't see that relationship that they actually have in their back door, then they're not taking advantage of that.
Well, you've done something a lot that I've never done. What could that possibly be? Well, just like inventing, I created a couple of companies, and I never thought to sell them. I didn't really realize or think about that companies are commodities in my world, because my parents, they died owning whatever they owned. In fact, they might have been better off selling some of those companies. How many companies have you sold?
Over 30. Yeah.
And how much money does that end up being?
Well, over $100 million.
Okay, did you guys hear the word $100 million? Yeah, that's a big deal. What's the secret to selling a company?
Well, some companies will never sell. 80% of all businesses never sell.
Okay.
So it's the type of business that it is, and the further that you can get away from the business, one, the easier it is to sell, and the more that it's worth. So it's being able to leverage that, and also being able to leverage what else is out there, how can I help that grow? So one, you need to have systems in place, something so you kind of replace yourself as far as being an owner-operator. It's really hard to sell the business because you might be it, whether it's a taco stand or whatever it is, but you have a taco stand, then I can find other people to work in a taco stand, that I can get 5 taco stands and be able to grow it out. And then on top of that, I could go and say, okay, now my taco stands are on one corner, but you know what? There's businesses around here. Now I could go to those businesses and provide some kind of lunch or dinner, whatever the case may be, and I can go on and on and on, whether it's along those ways.
Well, you really do have to think about, if you're a sole proprietor, which a lot of my entrepreneurs are, the McDonald's model. You do something and you do it the same way all the time. And I didn't really think about that either. When I was going into the pitch business, my daughter, my partner, said to me, Mom, you can teach this. I'm like, no, 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 I'm just the world's greatest pitcher. She said, yeah, no, you have a system. And if you look at it that way, and I'm going to say for all of you watching, the smartest thing that you can do, and you'll probably agree, is to identify the system of why what you do works so you can step out of it. And I don't think entrepreneurs think that way.
But I also think there's another key point. Part of it is leverage, and I think that we don't really all understand the leverage and the ability that we have to be able to do. So it depends what the goal is. If the goal is, oh, I just want to make money, obviously that's not specific enough to be able just to make the money. But let's say I have a company and I'm going to sell a product. Could be anything, TENS unit, which is a pain relief unit.
Right.
And then when I'm doing that, I might be able to go to a Sharp or MH Hammock or HSN or whatever and sell that. But in addition to it, there's a lot of other companies out there that I'll have similar type or complementary products that I could tap into.
Okay.
So I provide the inventory for them. It costs them nothing, and we do a joint venture, and we're selling off that. So there's a lot of different opportunities are there. Even from your standpoint to be able to do it, there's a lot of people that want to do business with you, and you don't know it. And it's like, how can I connect that? So I'm working with a couple former football players from Notre Dame, and it's like, well, look, I was around them at an event, and these guys want to do business with them, and they didn't know how to do it. So we put together a capital company, and they're starting to do real estate. So it's different ways to what you're looking for, and you don't know what they are. And if you're always in the middle of it, it's hard to see it. To where if someone comes in from the outside, obviously if they have the right skills and the ability and the relationships, they can walk into that situation and see the things you don't. And I think that the difference of it is being able to have something that is going to take me 10 years to build on my own, or I turn around and I build that same difference in 6 months or a year. So let me say one more thing.
Okay.
Even from your side, it's a leverage standpoint to say, okay, how can I leverage what I have, and being able to take that leverage and be able to add on to that without me putting much more effort into it, right? And that's what I see with like the football players and all that. The guys want to do business with them. People want to do business with you, to where you can actually leverage that, and it's being able to manage it. But you don't want to be a fool and take on 500,000 one or have way too many, and then it loses the brand, but it also waters down and not able to manage it. And that's where, going back to the system, I think something that's really important is the way I do it now. We have a couple different companies that we're doing. We have a silo. And then within that silo, someone's responsible for that. That's their job. So from my standpoint, I'm dealing with the top couple of people in each of those areas, so I don't have to be in every day the business. Sally took Joe's lunch, or Joe took Sally's lunch, or whatever the case may be, and you get caught up in that minutia.
Well, what's genius about you, and what I've always said about inventors, is that you see a white space, something that's very obvious to you, but not anyone else, and you fill it. Same thing happens with entrepreneurs. There's this journey for humans. I think in high school, we're taught to be employees. We are taught to go get a job, or you're taught to go to college, and out of college, you go get a job. And when the entrepreneur thing happens, it's like, oh, wait, you can make money not going to a job, but now you've created a business and you've created your own job. You're one step beyond all of that, where you're like, okay, you created something. If I can systematize it, leverage it, and put it with someone else, you guys can multiply that faster. And it's funny, because I remember a time when my daughter's grandmother said to her, when she was like 14, what are you going to do after high school? You should work in a clothing store like your cousin. Mm-hmm. And she said, Mom, what do I tell Grandma? I'm going to own this store. Mm-hmm. And when she told Grandma that, she's like, oh, that's a nice dream. Were you always encouraged to do what you were doing in your family?
I think growing up, we'd fight for a piece of bologna out of the bread. Those 6 kids.
You had 6 kids, and Dad did what?
Dad was a teacher.
Oh, that's a limited salary.
Yep, limited. My mom didn't work. So it's you learn to scrap and get creative to be able to, whose bed is you're sleeping in tonight.
Wait, so you didn't grow up with money? Because
No.
it seems like you would have. Like, so much.
No.
You grew up fighting for a piece of bologna. You guys need to really understand this. Because so many times we look at successful people and go, oh, you had it easy.
Yep.
You didn't have it easy, did
No.
you?
It's not easy, but I will tell you that coming up that way, I've learned so much more. And especially jumping into the inventing game, over a 30-year period, it's like it hurts at the time, right? You know what I mean? But you learn from that and you're able to grow from that. And then you stack it on, and before you know it, you're there. No different if you're looking at something. Look, if I have a goal or a step or somewhere I want to go, I'm taking those little steps. Although along the way, it seems like you're not getting there. But when you look back in a year, 2 years, 5 years, it's like, wow, the progress that you made. And one of the most important things, too, is that, look, we all only have so much time. Right. And if you can accelerate your time to be able to achieve your goals, whatever they might be, how much better would your world be, or how much better would other people's worlds be to be able to cut that time down? And I really think that's the key to do it. And the other thing from my standpoint, and I'm still learning this, although it's really hard, is that sometimes it seems like I care more about their business than they do. Okay. It's like, look, because all you have to do is change this or that, and they never do for one reason or another. They do it, and part of that goes back to too. If you're given the free advice, I think sometimes the free advice isn't that good because someone's given, or you don't value it enough to actually be able to go out and take some kind of action on that. But more importantly, it's for me. I can say, it's just, it's then you got to learn to shut up, because that's not what they want, because that's not their goals. My goals for them is not their goals per se, even though my goals might make them a lot more money or make them a lot more successful in business. That's one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn, is to shut up, because you see it and you want to give.
Well, it's kind of like having kids. You see, and they sometimes have to go through it and scrape their knee, and you're like, I could have saved you that if you just listened, but they never do. Yeah. Who are you right for? Who out there should be looking for you?
Well, I would say, a company that they could be growing or not growing. I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard. You only have so many people, right? And you almost have so much time. So what ends up happening is that if you're looking for that, if I say, okay, I'm going to go for a single entrepreneur, single guy, could you help them? Absolutely, you could. But it's going to take way too much time and effort to be able to push that up, as opposed to if you're taking someone that's got a base, $1 million, $2 million business. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the field. You can take that and turn it into $40 or $50 million business through different ways. Or better yet, not as much revenue, more income.
On that note, I want you to look to my audience, reach out to who should reach out to you, and tell them what you're up to.
I'm the $1 million money connector. So if you have a business or you have a product, you have something like that, and you're trying to cut into the market and you're trying to grow it, or you want to make your business to grow and sell and divest it and get the most amount of money that you can, and that's the goal for most people, is they want to get in the business, but how do I get out? And really the only way to be able to get out is to sell the business. And families don't want to take it over. Only 80% of the businesses do it or don't sell. If you are in a situation to where you actually want to grow your business and exit out at a high level, call me up.
There you go. So do you want them to personally call you? Am I going to put your number on the website? You want to go to a website?
We go to a website.
All right. Well, that will be right below so people can find out how to connect with you. What advice would you give for young entrepreneurs?
I think it's effort. In a matter of finding it out there, finding a good mentor, getting into and seeing what other people are doing, but not doing too much. They want to maybe do everything, and you can't do everything. You got to find the thing that you're good at, that you like, and focus on that. To where, when you and I are growing up, they didn't have YouTube, the University of YouTube. They didn't have those things like that, and it's newspaper, and it's a lot harder to do. So what ends up happening now is that it's so easy. And I can't tell you how many people that I meet, they're making 500,000, they're making $1 million, and you're doing that. What? How? It's just mind-blowing from that. And I look back, as the years go by, it's like, wow, I wish I had that when I was there, because how much further along you could be. The only difference would be is that your path takes you down a way, that whether you choose the path or not, is that it teaches you along the way. So you know so much more from that side. And I think from that that's what I've been able to gain, is I've got a lot of different knowledge that's actionable in many different areas for a company and a business. Because for me, it's not really a job, it's fun.
I know it is. You're a dad, yes?
Yes.
How many kids?
5.
Wow. Are they in the business, not in the business?
Not in my business. I have They all do kind of their
They
own.
all do their own thing. That's so funny.
But if I had a business I was going to sell, even if it were one or manufacturing one or whatever the case may be, they wouldn't be in it. So I would have to sell that to someone else. So a lot of times the family aren't there. Parents build it or the owners build it for their family, and there's no exit because they don't want it.
Oh, that's interesting. Mark, you have done so much. First of all, you've been a great friend and a great ally to me, and I want to publicly say very much thank you. Thank you for believing in me, and it's really wonderful. And then when I talk to you, a little touch of my dad, who also just was my biggest fan. So thank you for that. And inventors have a massive place in my heart. You've done so much. Hundreds of millions of dollars, 60 inventions out to the market, sold over 30 companies. What's next?
I got something really exciting right now.
You do?
Yeah. So right now I got a small public company. We got an electric vehicle range extender, and with that range extender, we're able to add a significant amount. And we just signed a deal yesterday for a purchase order to be able to be a component part with another manufacturer. But the real thing of it is that I see opportunity for you as well. And I really see a couple things that are out there that you could actually leverage to where, look, I look at it from this side. If from your standpoint, if you could put in 5 hours a week and in 5 years have $50 million, is that worth it for you?
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here. If I put in 5 hours a week for $50 million, you want to talk to the man in the orange coat. Yeah, aren't you glad you did? The answer is yes. And I do think that my audience is going to hear a lot more from you. Yeah. Because, like I said, you and I have been friends for a long time. And mostly because I have a fitness product, and you had great insight for that, because I also was on home shopping, taking products there. But I love what you're seeing now. And it's funny, because as I said that question to you, what's next, people ask me that all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think what's next is what is going to be happening from my relationships. This is why I love this word connector for you. Because we're talking multi-million dollar. What if it was 100 millions, 200 million? Those numbers for most people are so astronomical. I've done that on 1 or 2 products on home shopping or on an infomercial. So, and I will tell you the other thing that's interesting too at this point in my life, why you've really got my attention, not about the money. That's nice, but if that's the amount of money it generates, it means we've helped a whole lot of people. And as part of our legacy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, what's wrong? What's your overall goal?
My overall goal is that I walk down the street just like Oprah, and I can't walk 10 steps without somebody going, oh, please take a picture with me, you changed my life.
It's not a money issue so much from that standpoint, but I see a way, again, I see, right, wrong, whatever the difference of it is to where I saw, like yesterday, what you're doing with those people. I see what you really want to do. I see that love. Right. It's not about the money. Right. To where because you have to still churn the hamster wheel, but what if there's a way that you leverage, you're not churning the hamster wheel without anything to you? So yesterday we talked about a public company, right? And this public company is ridiculous for you personally, but another company you get a piece of, you're not doing much for. You're given a half hour to a quarter or whatever that case may be. Now you're leveraging that. But now let's say that's built up. Yeah. You got enough that way. Then what ends up happening is I see a stadium, right? Buck Stadium or whatever, that's filled. How's that? Because you're not going to be like everybody else. You're going to be like you. And hey, it's $20, you come in, because it's not about the money. It's about making the difference. Right. Because I don't need the money. Everybody else is putting them into a funnel. They're all selling, they're all doing that. It's the business. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I want to do that in some ways, right? But I see that from your standpoint, the legacy, it's there. Look, your daughter is going to be a billionaire. Okay, it's a matter of time. I know that. I can see it. You know, certain people have that. It's not going to matter. But from your standpoint, your legacy, I could be wrong, I see the stadium and that you're able to charge $20. Well, how's she do? She doesn't care. It's not about that. But you got to get a little something, and then now you're making that difference in them the way you want. See? And so not Tony Robbins, but a level here that's not Tony Robbins. Now, whether that's your goal or my goal for you, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
But I can see that from the standpoint of no different than with the Notre Dame guys, is that the people want to do business with you, but you don't know how to connect it to where these people want to hand money to you for you doing this.
You're 100% right. Guys, you know what you just witnessed is this a little bit turned into a very private conversation that I'm going to allow you guys to hear, because this is the value of Mark Julian. You see things for people. I love that you see it for me. I think everyone watching this is going to go, wow, we heard it on day one, and a year from now, you're living it. And that's exciting. I've watched your things come true. So I do want to say thank you to you. Is there anything else that you want to say about how you view the world for everybody listening? And trust me, I'm taking you up on this after the show.
Like I said, life is short, and it's, from the one standpoint that I've learned, along the way after I had a stroke, glad to be alive. But the big difference of it is it changes your perspective, and that is you only have so much time.
Yeah.
And we all, hey, you look back, your kids are older, you remember that day, and it seems like it was yesterday, although it seems like it was a long time. But the big difference of it is that it goes so fast, and it's about the ride more than it's about the end.
Well, you and I have had a great ride. I wish that for you as well, Mark. Julian, I want to thank you so very much.
Thank you.
For you watching, this was a very, very special episode. I think that you should share this with your friends. Anybody who's got a dream, who wants to get their idea, their passion, their purpose out to the world, there are systems to do it. Please don't be frustrated. Please stop playing small and take a step up and go, you know what? If it's to be, it's up to me. I'm Forbes Riley, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye-bye, everyone.